Savvy social skills. Okay, we're going to do, I'm going to talk briefly here about 3 things. Okay. Dress, dating, disclosure. Don't for all of those. Okay. No. Well, don't dress in a way that makes you really stand out. I'm not saying that you need to fade into the woodwork and be the most conventional person ever. However, it does affect people's perceptions of you, how you dress. And you want to be reasonably professional, and you want to sort of be unobtrusive. You don't want your dress to be the things that people really notice about you in general. And I know that some people really respond, to this message, right? Because, we invest a lot of our sense of self and personality into, how we look. And, I want to have blue hair. That's, shows what a creative, fabulous individual person I am. It also, however, may show a more conservative colleague that you're not willing to fit in. And you're probably not professional. And when some big poobah or big cheese comes to visit campus, you're not going to be the grad student invited along to dinner to meet them if you look really countercultural. So, this is general advice. You're free to take it or leave it. My general sense is that it is better to be reasonably unobtrusive in your dress. Look around. Look at what other people wear. Okay? I mean, as a graduate student, you don't need to show up in a suit every day, right? But you probably also don't want to show up in, very tight clothes, things that show a lot of cleavage, things that are very short, beach wear. You want to be within, not too far outside of what the sort of standard of dress is in your discipline, in your department. And these things will vary a little bit according to where you are, right? I mean, if you're doing a degree in art history, if you're doing a degree in architecture, you have certain freedoms and expectations in how you dress that are going to be different than if you're in economics. If you wear pleated khaki pants and you're an architecture student, that might hurt your career. People think that, where's their design sense? And if you dress like an architecture student in economics, they might think you're not serious, right? So, I don't have hard and fast rules. I mean, there are some, if you're going on a job search for a job interview, I personally think that a suit is a good idea. You can't lose with a suit. It's neutral. I teach in a suit a lot, which is more dressed up than is common for professors. But it's like a uniform. It's not remarkable. My students aren't looking or thinking about what I'm wearing. So, wear a suit. And if you get nervous and you sweat, the jacket is awesome. So, dress neutrally, dress professionally. Probably shouldn't make a difference, but it does make a difference in how people, and how people respond to you and how people think about you. And you don't want somebody questioning your professionalism. And I would say, you may think that if you're doing a kind of, out there topic that's sort of edgy for your dissertation, that, you can afford to be more edgy in your self-presentation. I would kind of say the Ralph Nader theory, that you probably want to be even more, even more conservative in your dress. There are all kinds of sexist and racist stereotypes that we run up against in various ways, and people have preconceived notions about what a young woman of color doing research on anti-racist feminist scholarship is, and you want to, as much as possible, to avoid reinforcing people's stereotypes. A lot of that's not it's not you, it's them and what they're bringing to it. But it is a game, and it is competitive, and it is brutal, and you want to play the game as smartly as you can. So. Think about self-preservation. Think about self-presentation in the context of self-preservation. It doesn't matter a huge amount, but if you're really outside the mean, unless you're super, there are some people who are super charismatic and can carry it off, right? Most of us are not those people. And, we're A- people, we're A people, we're, getting along, we're doing the best we can. We're not, the one brilliant superstar where it doesn't matter, where people just think it's totally charming. People may think it's totally charming, but they also may think you're a goofball. And think, oh, so-and-so, how charming, how countercultural they are. So keep that in mind. I can give you a little anecdote just to sort of illustrate this, and let me just preface by saying that I'm not saying this because I think that grad students are stinky and that most of you need to be like reminded to wear deodorant or anything. But as I was reading through these Ms. Mentor columns, thinking about, there's some other words of wisdom I should pass along, I came across a letter, and it was a letter from a professor who had this problem because one of his, in fact, this is an MA student, was applying to PhD programs and, was one of the best students in the program and wanted to write a good letter of reference for this student. But his dilemma was that the student had terrible body odor. And so for half an hour after this person left their office, they're still sort of reeling from it. And his dilemma, as he framed it, was that I'd like to write her a good letter, but the opinions and the collegial connections with my colleagues at other universities are more important. And I don't want to inflict this person on my colleagues because it's going to hurt me if I do this. I mean, you can't write that in a letter, but there's all kinds of kind of subtle ways that, these letters can make it clear if you're difficult to work with in one way or another, if you're a diva, if you're, a problem because you appear to be a mess emotionally. You'd be surprised how many letters talk about what a pleasure a student is to work with. And if you don't have that in a letter, it kind of stands out. Or if someone talks about challenges that the student overcame, kind of, there's subtle ways that people raise red flags. And, I'm not saying it's good or I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying you might come across somebody who is going to be feeling like, this person is a really brilliant student, but boy, are they a pain to work with. And, I don't want my reputation to be harmed. Because these letters that people write for you when you're applying for jobs, they're long, they're detailed, they're usually, a couple single-spaced pages, and they matter a lot. They matter a lot. So you need to have good letters. And so you need to, these kind of social things about how you present yourself and whether you are professional and so forth, they make a difference.